Nice to meet you. My name is
Yeah,
Matthew Ryan, and I'm a freshman at Villanova and a writer for VUSports.com. How are you doing?
good man, hanging in there. Can't complain.
So I just want to start off by asking some questions about your time at Villanova. So
Mhm.
at first, you know, as a freshman on the road, you were roommates with Arch. Did that kind of relationship help you learn how to become like a quintessential Villanova point guard? Did he kind of mentor you?
Yeah. I think just like on the road, kind of when we were off the court, we definitely talk about basketball a lot. But I mean, Arch, first and foremost, was just a great friend. Obviously, he was a mentor for me. He was in the system for 3 years before I was able to do my first, and so he knew a lot. And just being around him, kind of learning a lot, and also just feeding off his energy, kind of helped me just grow, not just as a Villanova basketball player, but just as a basketball player in general.
Mhm. And would you say that you're going into Villanova with your 3-year plan? Do you think that was beneficial to you? Kind of eliminated any distractions after your sophomore year?
Yeah, definitely. I think just having a plan in general, whatever you do, definitely just helps you eliminate a lot of unnecessary stuff. Um, and just having the support system I had around me, obviously my family was most important. But having Coach Wright, who was on board with it as well. Um, I didn't really tell my teammates as much of the plan. I just wanted them. I just wanted to be there and present for that time. Um, Obviously, they knew I was going to graduate early. They kind of had a sense of what was going on, but I was locked in. I was mentally and physically there with them at all times, and I wasn't really thinking about my future. I was just thinking about just what can we do to get better right then and there.
Mhm. Yeah, and then playing in 2 state championship games in Stevenson, playing, like, under the bright lights, do you think that helped you be able to contribute right off the bat when you got to Villanova, playing in all those big games in high school?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the bigger the stage, obviously the more experience you get, and so having those experiences at a young age, especially leading, definitely helped. And something those experiences still help me with today. Obviously, I've done stuff in the past. I've played in big games in the past, and so when I have a big game here in the NBA now, I know I've been there before. I know I just got to just play my game.
Yeah, totally. So what did it mean having this incredible 2018 season, winning all these awards, like countless awards, and then topping it off with a national championship to end your career? Like, what did that mean for you?
It's been a lot. To be honest with you, I had a lot of goals written down for me, but I mean, the most important thing that I was working towards is winning a national championship. Um, Obviously, I had goals individually, but I mean, I've never was working to hit those goals individually. I was always working to hit those goals to benefit the team, and obviously benefited me individually. But it was never my intention to focus on myself, and so I'm very thankful that I had those individual goals, but most importantly, like you said, we won that championship, so that just topped it off for everything.
Yeah. And then in the 2018 national championship game, got in foul trouble early and weren't able to play like as much as I assume you would like. Was that tough for you, or was it all okay at the end of the day because they ended up winning? You ended up winning.
Oh yeah, definitely winning trumps everything. Obviously, it wasn't the most ideal situation, but we had a great team. We had a great group of guys. We had numerous guys that can go out there and just dominate from start to finish. And so, I mean, having that, I wasn't worried. But at the same time, it's not the best being on the bench, cheerleading when you know you want to be out there helping your team. But that was my role that game, and I just stuck with it.
Mhm. What would you say your favorite on the court moment at Villanova was?
My favorite on the court moment,
Yeah.
I'll say, besides winning those championships, is playing at Temple,
Okay. Yeah,
100%.
because your dad went there and they recruited you hard, so that must have been nice.
Yeah,
All right, and
yeah, yeah. That was it.
yeah, I have to ask. I mean, I think I know your answer, but which team is better, 2016 or 2018?
2018 by far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
just
about them do you think makes them so much better?
um, we had guys on that 2016 team that were key contributors that were just 10 times better by the time we were in 2018.
Yeah.
had some guys on 16 who were very good and who obviously did a lot for that team, no question. But he too much offensive power.
Yeah. I mean, NCAA record and three-pointers made. I mean, that team was incredible. I mean, both were, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on Gillespie this year? You know, obviously you overlapped for one season with him at Villanova, and he's kind of taken over Villanova as this next great point guard. Do you see things in him that you're like, oh, I taught him that, or just like, do you see things in him that all these great Villanova point guards do, and you're like, oh wow, like he's really come a long way?
Yeah. Collin's honestly, like when he got to Nova, he never really had to change a lot about his game to become a Villanova guard. It was always kind of instilled in him. So it's not necessarily things that I've taught him that like, wow, like I see him now doing things like that. It was things that he's been doing since in high school. And so now that Collin's just the leader of that team and being the player who he is, it's just like it's crazy to see that Collin's in his senior year now. That's just the most important. That's the craziest thing. He's getting old, but when I watch, I just cheer the most for him. Obviously, he was one of the guys that took under my wing, and we were roommates on the road and everything like that. So he was someone I always look after, someone I always talk to, even to this day. So just watching him now, it kind of always brings a smile on my face, and it's just special to see.
Yeah. So I see on social media you and all the guys always refer to each other as as your seeds or whatever. So can I get the real family tree of the Villanova basketball players?
Um, well, I'm definitely at the top because
Mhm.
everyone I'm the most mature, so
Yeah.
I'll take that. But it definitely just goes down by year. It kind of the oldest, obviously, they joke around like that or whatever. So it just goes by who's older, and so
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So are there some things that you learned that are kind of special to Villanova that most like only people that went to Villanova would know that have really helped you when you get to the NBA?
Um, I think honestly, the things that I've learned at Villanova, um, on and off the court, I think the most important thing is just being professional.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of guys who really can make a long living in this NBA just by being professional. And I think it's the most important thing that Villanova guys have is just we're good characteristic guys. We do our work. We do what's asked of us, and we do whatever the team needs. I guarantee you, if you look around the league, most NBA guys from Villanova are that player. They
Yeah.
do whatever.
Yep. So when you first got drafted by the Mavs, was there anybody that took you under their wing?
Yeah. When I first got there, um, my vets were like Harrison Barnes, DeAndre Jordan, Wes Matthews, JJ Barea, Devin Harris. All those guys had a really big impact on me. I would say the next year or later in my rookie year, Courtney Lee got traded to Dallas with like Porzingis, Hardaway, and Burke.
Yeah.
I would say Courtney Lee and JJ Barea probably had the biggest impacts on me.
Yeah. And then I mean, this whole JJ Brea situation just happened where they basically just gave him, I think it was $2.6 million. Like, what does that show you about the Mavericks and just like their organization to do something like that?
Um, it just shows you who Mark Cuban is. If you do a lot for him, if you sacrifice for him, um, he's willing to do anything for you. And so I've seen that in my first couple of years here, and obviously he's had a long history of doing that, just being loyal to his players, and obviously business is business. Like don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
Mark is definitely a tremendous human being. Someone who's always around, someone who's really just involved, someone who's obviously a huge part, if not the part, of what the Mavericks are about. He's the head of the snake, and he started the culture. We just have to continue to keep it going.
Yeah. So you've talked about Stevenson being very family oriented, and of course Villanova is. And do you feel the same way about the Mavs?
Oh yeah, definitely. There are definitely some traits. Obviously the NBA is just different in general from college or high school. It's just a whole different feel. But there's definitely things where I see that this is definitely like a family. The chemistry that we're building, just the way we care for each other, it definitely has that family feel. Um, I think obviously if we continue to grow in that aspect on the chemistry wise, we can go a long way with it.
Hmm. So when you first got into the league, was there a certain player that when you went up against them, you're kind of starstruck, you're like, and like couldn't believe that you're actually playing against this person?
There's one. It's a very weird answer. You probably won't even understand. It wasn't it wasn't one of my favorite players that I've watched growing up. Was Derrick Rose, but it wasn't Derrick. It wasn't LeBron. Chris Paul is one of my favorite. It wasn't Chris Paul. It was Austin Rivers. It
Okay.
was really weird because I would say not a lot of people who would think of Austin Rivers in the NBA are like, oh wow, like I would be starstruck by playing against him. But I mean, Austin had a huge impact on me when I was like in 8th grade in high school. Like watching Austin Rivers, like all his highlights and stuff when he was in high school. Like it was like all me and my friends from high school were like, oh, like Austin Rivers is like the guy. Like he was.
Yeah.
It was. So I remember jokingly, um, we were playing against Houston. My dad was there. And he was like we always talk about players that we play against. So I was like, yo, I was playing against Austin Rivers tonight. He was like, man, that's the one player who I was jokingly like starstruck because I always like admired his game when I was younger. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And so talking about your dad being in the league, you kind of grew up around like going everywhere, like, because your dad played for 8 teams and so you were kind of traveling around and you got to know what it's kind of like to be an NBA family. Is it different now that you're actually in the league than what you thought it was going to be like?
Yeah, it's different. It's kind of cool that like I'm kind of following his footsteps, but it's different because now I'm experiencing it. Like I got to see it from being a kid. Now I'm the player. Now I'm the guy who's actually doing it, and so it's a totally different experience. A lot of things when I see the children of NBA players, and I was like, wow, that used to be me. Now I'm the NBA player, so it's definitely cool, but it's a totally different experience. It's totally different.
Yeah. So what is it like playing against, former teammates at Nova? Do you usually go out to eat with them after? I mean, obviously not this year because of COVID, but is it really cool to like, go up head to head against them and then, maybe see them after?
Yeah, definitely. If the timing is right, obviously we get together. If schedules don't conflict or anything like that, but it's always cool seeing your old teammates, the guys that you've done a lot with and I've been through a lot with. So it's definitely special. It's just see where we are now. Just knowing that we're all still trying to get better and still trying to improve. We just have so much respect for each other and so much love for each other.
Yep. And then, so obviously kind of went viral on Twitter over the past week about the whole Cowboys jersey and bet with Luca. Could I ask what that bet was about?
Yeah, me and Luca streamed a FIFA game like early in quarantine. I want to say maybe like April or May, and so the bet was if I won, he would wear an Eagles jersey because I'm an Eagles fan, and if he won, he'd wear a Cowboys jersey. So or I would win a Cowboys jersey. So
Yeah.
yeah, didn't go my way. So
But I,
yeah,
I
it
love
is.
the response on Twitter, the Cowboys tweet. That was great.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to. I had to put that in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, man. No problem.